Here's Toshikoyu trying desperately to catch up to Giuliano Alesi.
1:19 is the pace at which Ronnie Quintarelli's lapping at the moment. Nakayama a little bit faster, 1:17.8. So we're actually getting quite near the crossover now, but it's just too late to do anything, really, isn't it? And there you go. Look at Toshikoyu, lap 61, 1:20, and then 2 laps later, he does his personal best lap of the race at 1:15.2. So something clearly happened on that lap that we didn't get to see. So I'll be very interested to hear afterwards what was the story there. But I think the chances now of Ceremo have gone 5 years without a race win. It was 2019 at Fuji, the last time that team won a race. It doesn't look like today's going to be the day, but still a very good effort. It's a good points day for them as well, but also a very good points day for the 37 Toms Toyota, because they were already in quite a strong position, already up in 4th in the championship, and this will put them even closer to the summit if things stay as they are.
So Giuliano Alesi has just done a 1:17.3. So that's a fairly slow lap compared to where we are when you look at the fact that Toshikoyu is doing 1:15s. So
yeah, he has lost a few seconds there. He's back down to 9.8. Yeah.
This isn't over yet. This definitely isn't over yet. 17 laps to go and 9.8 seconds. If there is still, even if Toshikoyu makes about 0.6 of a second, 0.7 of a second per lap, he could still catch Giuliano Alesi before the end. So there is genuinely a good chance here that Toshikoyu could turn this into a race victory. My goodness, he'll never be more motivated to do anything.
Shinota there is leading the Civic charge, but he's 34 seconds off the lead. But I think considering where that car started, Kodai Tsukakoshi also doing a great job in the first half of the race to bring that car up the order. But it doesn't look like they've got the pace on this particular occasion to challenge the front runners.
Well, this is fascinating. Absolutely fascinating stuff. Toshikoyu desperately trying to push forward. The other thing, of course, that we have to talk about is that we're at lap 68, so we have passed the 75% distance threshold, so it is going to be maximum points. I don't think we've ever considered that. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, if you told me at the start of around about 1 o'clock when warm-up started an hour behind schedule that we'd get the whole race distance in, I'd have probably laughed at you. But here we are with 16 laps to go. We've got about half an hour until the maximum curfew, but if there's no more safety cars, I think we are going to get the full distance in miraculously.
Gucci. A very interesting scenario here. Look how tight it is now between Wado and Shinohara. This is not easy in the slightest. But how long has she been able to hold this together now? It's about 25 laps roughly that she has held on here from Takura Shinohara in the lead. She's still got to do another 17 or so, 16 for the leaders, of course, in GD 500. But she is doing everything she needs to do. Just take it one corner at a time, Leela. That's all you've got to do. One corner at a time. Place the car exactly where it needs to go. Work the tyres. Nurse them. Make sure they've still got life for the next 16 laps. She can do this. She looks like she's got the confidence to make it work.
Yeah, you would certainly say that her pace is perfectly fine, because these two are still getting away from the 3rd place D-Station Aston Martin, so there's nothing wrong with her pace at all. The tyres seem to be hanging on well, and even though Shinohara is still right there, he doesn't appear to have a great advantage. And I think that Ferrari is just about quick enough in a straight line, even in the slipstream.
Yeah.
The Mercedes doesn't seem to be able to gain that much on the start-finish straight. That just gives her enough of a buffer into turn 1, and that's a huge help for any driver. It's basically free lap time, isn't it? And that just gives her that buffer. Still, of course, many corners to Shinohara to try and force a move, and here the number 5 Mac Toyota is not making her life easy at all.
Come on, Lilo, get round it. Absolutely perfectly done, but Takura Shinohara is still putting a lot of pressure on the Ferrari driver. This is not an easy race to win now. Takura Shinohara's got his dander up, and he's got a good run off the turn at Rainbow. Now he's going to go down the straight. Lilu's got to park the bus in the middle of the road and squeeze Shinohara round the outside of Horseback. Is there going to be enough of an opportunity for Shinohara? No, he's got to yield and make sure that he gets the car round the next apex. Oh, every trick Shinohara pulls up his sleeve. Lilu Badu's got a rabbit ready to eat it. Absolutely absolutely amazing.
Just keeping on the lead battle in GT500, but it's back out to 12 seconds, the gap between Alesi and Oyu now. So I think Oyu did catch a few seconds there, but it's just the to and fro with the traffic, isn't it? One driver gains a bunch of time, one lap, and then the other driver gains a load, and it just evens itself out in the long run. So I don't think we're going to see Oyu catch up now. He's 12 seconds behind with 14 laps to go. I think that's just too much of an ask, unless something truly dramatic happens.
I mean, Lilu Wadu is currently channeling her inner Alain Prost, isn't she? She's looking almost slow, but I promise you, the way she's working the car through every apex, it's very similar to the way that Prost used to drive a Formula One car. It looked slow, but he was honestly so efficient. He was able to look after tyres, he was able to look after engine, look after brakes. It was the most efficient way to drive a racing car. Noya Gamu and Kei Cotsolino crossing fingers and sweating buckets back in pit lane. But Lilu Wadu is being so calculated with the way she's positioning the car, with the way she's driving it. Right, they've got Giuliano Alesi. Let him go. Takadura Shinohara's trying to use the slipstream to make the move on the inside line. No, you don't, says Lilu Wadu. French driver passes French driver, and Wadu doesn't buckle under the pressure, but Shinohara's a lot closer than he has been. But he twitches in the way through the left-hander into SP1. Lilu Wadu still hanging on, hoping that history is coming her way.
I think that's going to be the biggest issue for Wadu, is if she just gets wrong-footed by a GT500 driver. And look at Shinohara now, he's as close as he's ever been, and he's got the side-by-side run here. I think this could be the chance for him to go through.
This is going to be the moment, surely, for Shinohara. Lilu Wadu's done everything she can, but Shinohara's going to get there. Now she can try and get the switcheroo undercut and overlap, but it's not going to happen. Takuru Shinohara takes back the lead in the Leon Pyramid Mercedes. Noya Gamu is delighted. Kei Cotsolino and Lilu Wadu may have to wait for history to occur. But my goodness me, has Lilu Wadu done an incredible job trying to keep him back. That was the bravest 28 laps I have ever seen from a GT300 rookie.
Yeah, valiant effort, but I think it was always going to be difficult for her to stay ahead for that many laps. Now Leon Mercedes are on course for back-to-back wins, because don't forget they had the victory last time out at Fuji Speedway. An absolutely dominant performance there. This one's been a bit more closely fought, but still, Bridgestone Leon Mercedes is proving a real force to be reckoned with now. In fact, they're going to move into I think a dominant championship lead now with the number 2 Yingling Toyota only on course, I think, for at the moment a single point in P10. It's not been a good weekend for that particular team, so that's really going to change things up in the championship. But in GT500, I've just done some quick mental math, which I know is always dangerous with 11 laps still to run, but I think this car here, the number 37 Tom's Toyota, is actually going to take the lead of the championship by a solitary point.
Which would certainly make sense, considering it's on its way to its second win of the season, and it would be the first car this year to get 2 victories, which is the same scenario for the Leon Mercedes, of course. No other car this year has taken 2 wins in GT300 either. So there is Kenti Yamashita, and he is being hustled by Tadasuke Makino's teammate Naoki Yamamoto. The legend himself, Yamamoto, charging over the top of the crest to try and catch up to Kenti Yamashita. And don't forget, these two are fighting for the championship as well, with the Deloitte Super in the lead of the race. So if Yamamoto can catch and pass Yamashita, well, those couple of extra points could pay dividends when we get to Suzuka in December.
They certainly could, but also I was just thinking, this time a year ago, Yamamoto involved in that horrifying accident at the start-finish straight, contact with the Kondo Nissan, the GT3 car of Tepe Natori, putting him hard into the barriers. That was the end of the race on that occasion. And Yamamoto, I've been really impressed actually with Yamamoto this year, not only in this championship, but also perhaps especially in Super Formula, where he's really got back to close to his best form. And in Super GT, still proving again that he is one of the absolute top draw drivers in this championship. And if he can catch up and pass Kenti Yamashita in the next 10 laps, like you say, that would be important. It's only a couple of points difference, but this championship is so close, and every point you can grab, especially when the conditions are like this, when the success ballast and the fuel flow restrictors don't matter as much, those points are the ones that really, really pay you back at the end of the year.
Well, this is a headache for Naoki Yamamoto. Yamamoto. He found two GT300s at the worst possible point. He had to back down off the throttle, and if he's not careful, he's going to have a little bit of pressure himself because that got very badly wrong, and off the road is going to go the Kondo Racing Nissan. God, that was a close one. Very tricky indeed there, as right off the road we had a very scary moment there for Yamamoto, who was obviously a lap down on the car in front of him, Naoki Yamamoto, but even so, scary moment there. That could have brought us to a safety car with 10 laps to go too.
Yeah, Yamamoto down in P12, a lap off the pace. Obviously one of those cars, one of the two cars that was really caught out by the safety car and dropped to the rear of the field by having to make a late stop, so it's not worked out at all. There's the other car on Yokohama tyres, Senna Sakaguchi at the wheel, 8th place now, not a bad afternoon for them. It's been a really, really difficult season for them. It would actually be that car's best finish of the year if Sakaguchi can hold it on. There's Masataka Bando watching on from the pit wall. Obviously 3 points is nothing to really write home about, but such has been the difficult season they've had that it would be, I think, a positive result at the very least. But it looks like it's going to be difficult for Sakaguchi to push any higher up the order. Next up the road is Atsushi Miyake's Nissan Z, but that's I think several seconds up the road. I think it will be a tough ask to catch up. Giuliano Alesi now is with an even bigger lead. He's actually putting on multiple seconds a lap on Toshiki Oyu. He's 21 seconds ahead. It's an absolutely amazing run for Giuliano Alesi here. And there's the sister Tom's car of Kenty Yamashita negotiating the traffic. He's still got Naoki Yamamoto for relatively close company as we see the battle here in GT300. This is the final points, or the final 2 points paying positions, 9th and 10th. Yui Tsutsumi there getting the move done on Hiroki Yoshimoto, or will he? They're a lap behind the D-Station Aston Martin that's running in P3 in class, but Tsutsumi there, he needs to battle for every point. The Leon Mercedes is going to get such a huge advantage by winning the race, so every point is important. And there's team director Hiroki Kato. He knows the significance of that move, even if it is only for P9, but certainly every point counts in the championship. He's got one of the J-Lock Lamborghinis up ahead as well. I'm not sure if that's a fighting position or not. I think it is actually. I think that is, yes, that is Motojima, isn't it, in the Lamborghini. So another position gain there for Yui Tsutsumi. A great lap or so. Well, he hasn't quite got it done yet. Here you see the power of the FIA GT3 cars with the straight line speed, and then you see the JAF car with its brilliant cornering and ability to brake very late, but then Motojima coming back as well. This battle isn't over yet. Tsutsumi to the inside. They've got Atsushi Miyake trying to come past the pair of them, and Miyake is actually right ahead of the Kondo car that's a lap further back there as well. Looks like Tsutsumi's finally got the move done, and it was Kokuri the Lambo, not Motojima, sorry.
Yeah, the job is done there, and that's up to 8th position then for the Mutaringen car. That's big points gained in the last couple of laps, and that again could be the difference between winning the championship and coming second at the end of the season. Big moment there as we look at Charlie Fagg, who's incredibly almost a lap ahead of the two cars in front of him, and that just shows you the way this race has gone, as Ronnie Quintarelli is trying to work his way forward past them, and he's obviously got the timing right. 8 laps to go here at Sugo. I have to say, looking back over this race, I know it was annoying yesterday that we didn't get any decent running in because of the rain conditions, but when we started when we did, full credit to the organisers for letting the race go ahead, because this has actually turned into a blueprint race for why Super GT is so spectacular.
Yeah, this has been a really memorable race. I think it was always going to look like the weather was going to improve later in the afternoon. I think it's probably improved more than many of us had been hoping for, and we're going to get the full race distance in. There's 20 minutes to go until the curfew and only 8 laps left, so we should be getting the full race distance in no trouble unless there's a safety car. You see the battle between the 87 J-Lock Lamborghini and the 31 APR Lexus. Kazuto Kontaka at the wheel. Will he be in a GT500 car next year? Perhaps. He's a candidate certainly for one of the berths in the Toyota GT500 squad, but certainly one of the drivers that you would have thought would have been under pressure. Giuliano Alesi has made a very good case for staying on, and I think with 2 wins potentially under his belt, then it's going to be a relatively straightforward decision to
victory for the second time this year for Giuliano Alesi. Certainly the signs are good for that. In the last couple of seasons, when the critics and the journalists and the experts of the sport out here in Japan have been questioning Giuliano Alesi's motivation, his focus, his composure. Has this guy got what it takes to race at the top level in Super GT? This year, he has not only answered his critics, he has basically buried them 6 feet under. That is a drive-through penalty for the number 17 car.
Yeah, that's P4 out the window for Kakanoshi Shinoda, and the reason is a pit infraction. So we don't know what happened there, but of course we have seen plenty of times before cars getting penalised for that. Maybe not laying a tyre flat when it was being changed or something like that is a fairly common one, or maybe refuelling and changing tyres at the same time as another one. But either way, we might get a replay of what happened there. But for the number 17 car, that's a really late call though. That pit stop would have been made, you know, before the safety car. So that's come, or rather I should say, yeah, just as the safety car came out, wasn't it? Along with all the other cars.
That's significant for the championship as well, because Kakanoshi Shinoda is going to come into the pits to do a drive-through. Yamashita in the Tom's Toyota 36 is going to be elevated to 4th. Naoki Yamamoto in the Mitsubishi Stanley car is going to be elevated to 5th. So that actually gives them even more points in the fight with Giuliano Alesi in the Tom's Toyota. So that single solitary point they were going to lead by is not going to be the case anymore.
Yeah, very good point. We're going to have to do a quick recalculation, but you're right, the extra 2 points, assuming that Yamashita does stay clear of Naoki Yamamoto in that battle, will actually keep the 36 car again ahead by 1 point.
Unbelievable at their level of consistency. 4th position in this race, now that we've got to dry running, in a car that's got 82 kilos of ballast. It's absolutely extraordinary as Kataka gets the move there on Matsura in the midlife hurricane. So the LC500H gets the move, and that was a very scary moment for the Impel to get through, but somehow has made it work to get through past the GT300s. We cut away the worst possible moment, but incredibly, Kazuki Hiramine able to make that work and stay in 3rd position. That was a scary moment and a half.
So just 5 laps to go now for Alesi to bring it home. We've seen quite a lot of him just serenely on his way. I mean, he's never really put a foot wrong. 17 seconds is the gap to Toshiki Oyusa. Has dropped very slightly, but of course, at this stage of the race, that's just going to be a degree of just taking it easy and not pushing too hard and not making any undue mistakes. And the same now goes for Takuro Shinohara as he finally cleared Lilo Wadu's Ferrari after a long battle. 6.4 seconds now, the difference between the 2 leading cars, but Wadu still kept the gap back to Charlie Fagg pretty much level, hasn't she, with still more than 20 seconds separating those 2 cars.
Yeah, I mean, as we said before, everything's got to be taken in context with the fact that she only did 9 laps coming into this race on a circuit that was in completely different circuit conditions. The cars behind her are driven by Charlie Fagg and Seiji Ara, 2 drivers who have been incredibly impressive over the course of this season so far. They're only separated by 4 seconds apiece. And for Lido to hold off Takuro Shinohara in a car that's arguably in contention or certainly on course to win this year's championship for 28 laps on a circuit that she's had to learn for the first time. I mean, if Ferrari don't consider her for the hypercar program in 2026 and 2027, they don't deserve her. So through they come, the GT500 cars just knitting their way through the GT300 traffic. Excellent work so far, though, from Kenta Yamashita in this race. 4th position is going to be a brilliant return on investment for the heaviest car in the entire grid. And once again, proof of just how much hard work Shotsu Boy and Kenta Yamashita have done to cement themselves in this car. We wondered, didn't we, if Ritamo Miata's disappearance to Europe was actually going to hinder this particular team, was going to hinder the progress. Not on your Nelly, not when Kenta Yamashita has been able to strap himself into that seat and be just as impressive, certainly in the first part of this year. Great to see. Up to the hairpin, there's the move, they're going to be side by side. This could be perfect timing. Sweet pass.
You can use OCS. You can use OCS stuff.
that team really well, which has come as a big surprise because he's been, you know, he's driven for Toms before. He was part of the furniture when he was racing for Toms in Formula 3. He and Savoy go back a long way and know each other very well. Quite similar drivers in many ways. As we see, this is the fight for the final point in GT300. Daiki Sasaki still with a word to say in this battle against the J-Lock Lamborghini, the 88 car. But yeah, I don't think, of course, Tom's going to be Simi Tomomiata, but in the sense that Yamashita's come along and proven equally capable, then you would say that lineup's got absolutely no reason to change, probably for many years to come, actually.
So we get ourselves then into the closing stages. Kazuki Hiramine just trying his best not to trip over the traffic. And here is the battle between Tebe Nattori and Ronnie Quintarelli. Quintarelli out there, of course, on slick tyres that he's had to basically nurse for the first part of this stint in order to make them usable. They are now just about there, but obviously far too late to do anything about it. It would have been incredibly impressive to see Ronnie Quintarelli turn this race around and turn it into a race victory. And the idea had merit, but that was not going to be the case today.
Yeah, just a gamble too far, really. Just the strategy, the safety car. It looked like at first it really helped them, but I think in the end they were just on the same set of wet tyres for too long. And this is another disappointing result potentially for the 23 car. This is going to put them almost out of title contention, not quite, because things can turn around very quickly in Super GT, but it's going to put them certainly more than a race win's worth of points behind the leader in the championship, so that's problematic for them. I think if I was in the same situation, I think I would have taken the gamble anyway, because I think they were just going nowhere on those old wet tyres. I think they would have ended up in a not dissimilar position anyway. Maybe you could say, okay, you should have put on a new set of wets in that situation, but then would he be much further up the field than he is now? Maybe position 2, not sure he would be that much better off.
He's going to try and finish this off as we go into the closing stages, but you are absolutely right in terms of the title contentions. I mean, you've got to think they really need a victory and on top of this next time out, and then hope that the car is going to be on point at Suzuka with few points scored with the cars around them to really stand a chance of the title going to Nismo. Into the last lap then goes Giuliano Malesi, and you have to say, given the context of the first stint, given the context of the second stint, in GT500, he is the driver of the day, just because this is such a giant crushing effort from a driver that we've had so much doubt about in the past. Sasahara did an amazing job in the first stint, let's not ignore that, but for Giuliano Malesi to disappear into the distance, that's giant killing.
Yeah, Sasahara obviously put them in that position. It would have been really fascinating to see if the roles were reversed, how Alesi would have got on in that situation, but you have to think with the car performing the way it has been, he would have been probably making his way up the order sooner rather than later as well. And like you say, he's just not put a wheel wrong, has he? And rather he's actually pulled out quite a big gap over Toshi Oyu. We know how good Toshi Oyu is, and he's been certainly an impressive driver this weekend, especially with the lap in free practice. But when push came to shove, when it really mattered, it was Alesi who had all the answers.
Out of the final turn and up over the crest for the last time here at Sportsland Sugo. It's the 37 TGR Team Deloitte Top Supra. Giuliano Alesi crosses the line. He wins with Ukyo Sasahara, and the Leon Pyramid Mercedes crosses the line directly behind it. Noyagamu and Takura Shinohara in the R&D Leon Mercedes. Second place though for Kei Cozzolino and Lilu Wadu. The best ever result equalled by a woman in Super GT in history. And the first podium for a woman in Super GT, I do believe, since 1995, 29 years ago. The D-Station Vantage Aston comes home in third. The Keeper Supra, Toshiki Oyu, crosses the line in second place. Kazuki Hiramine in the Impul in third place. What an amazing race. And again, Super GT just delivers in spades. The Tom's Toyota that takes the win gets their second win of the season. So does the Leon Pyramid Mercedes. What an amazing day out we've had at Sportsland Sugo. We were sceptical at the start. Are we going to get a race? Is it going to be worth it? Of course it was. What a race day, what a battle, and what a winner in Giuliano Alesi and Ukyo Sasahara in the Tom Supra. And a brilliant performance in the Mercedes from Takura Shinohara and Noya Gamu. in the Leon German car. They were destined to win for the second time. What an amazing battle from both cars.
And let's not forget, Suzuka, when the 37 car won, it was from pole position. It wasn't really a dominant race because the 14 car had the penalty that really helped them at the end. But this time they came from P14 on the grid. Just been one of those days. If you told me a couple of hours ago this would be the car that would win the race, I'd struggle to see how that was possible. But somehow it happened, and Sugo again with 10 minutes before the curfew cut off, and we've got the full race distance in. Another thing I wouldn't have predicted at the start of the day either. And it's just been a brilliant race. I think that's Sugo always delivers, especially when it's wet. I think Super GT races that are in mixed conditions are always ones to really savour, and today's been no exception.
Man, I love Super GT. It always delivers. This is what we invest our time and our passion and our love in. Racing that is pure and unfiltered. Just incredible race driving. I've given my candidate for GT500 driver of the day. In GT300, it's actually quite difficult because there are a few standout performances from the GT300. Charlie Fagg picking up the pieces in the Aston Martin to get them to third position is worth a mention. Kei Cozzolino's opening stint in the Ferrari was what got them into that position in the first place. But just because of the enormity of the pressure that was on her, the difficulties of having someone like Takura Shinohara, who was inevitably going to win at the wheel, and the fact that she kept it there for 28 laps, I've got to give it to Lila Wadu. She equals history. First woman to get a second place in Super GT for 29 years. Great result for her. But this man has definitely silenced the doubters in GT500. Not only am I worthy of winning races, I could even be the 2024 champion. What a performance.
Going back to the GT300 debate, I think if there hadn't been a safety car, then the Ponos Ferrari would have won Canter, because such was Wado's pace. I think she, with the lead that Cozzolino built up, I think she would have been fine. It was really the safety car that brought the Lyon car. Don't forget that car was, was off the road in the early part of the race in Naoya Gamore's hands. So that car really made a good comeback, but helped significantly by the safety car. So I think you have to bear that in mind. So yeah, for me, I'd probably say Cozzolino, Wadu as well, doing a great job. But to actually get the lead in the first place, I'd give it to Cozzolino personally.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely fair because Cozzolino's aggression in those early laps, trying to make those overtakes when you didn't really know if the car was going to bite enough. You didn't really know if the car was actually going to get round the bend. But he just had the audacity, he had the bravery, he had the sheer nerve to pull those moves off. It was absolutely, for me, Cozzolino's best ever drive in Super GT.
Yeah, I'd struggle to think of a better one off the top of my head. As we see, Naoya Gamore probably also another driver who can't quite believe he's on the top step of the podium.
There's belief here, isn't there? It's absolutely belief.
And there's the Tom's crew, Michael Krum, the team director. He's come along and he's took over the role of team director at the start of this year, and he's now won 2 races with that car out of 5. It's quite remarkable, really. And I did speak to Michael at the start of the year, and he said, well, I don't feel like I'm actually doing that much. He told me at the time, but maybe just having someone at the helm who kind of sets the mood, maybe he's put Alesi more at ease. I think there is a factor there. I think that there's more communication being done in English in that side of the pits as well, which surely is going to help Alesi.
Toyota 1 and 2, the Tom Supra finishing ahead of the Keeper Saromo car. The Impul Nissan joining them on the podium for Kazuka Hiramine and Bertrand Baguette. The Tom Supra, though, ahead of the Stanley Civic, 4th and 5th. Then it is the Nismo Nissan of Takaboshi and Miyake, the Estemo Civic, the Wet Sport Supra, the Enios Prime Supra, and the ALTA Mugen finishing in 10th position. The latter 2 cars in the top 10 a lap down today. The Denso Supra, then the Nismo Nissan of Chiro and Quintarelli, managing to finish ahead of Matsuda and Nattori in the end, but out the points. Then the Modulo Civic and the ALTA Mugen Civic. The Mercedes taking the victory then in GT300 ahead of the Ponos Ferrari, its best ever result, and Lila Wadu only 4 seconds back at the flag. The Station Vantage Aston, another podium from the Study BMW, the Subaru BRZ, then the LC500H there, Lexus, the Medalive Lamborghini, the Muta Inget car in a very valuable 8th place from the Citium Corsa Supra, and the Ventani Lamborghini in the top 10. Realise this are just missing out on points for Sasaki and Oliveira, conspicuous by their absence today. Runner Revo in 12th from the Helm Motorsports GTR, and of course we had a fair few retirements coming through the mix. A lot of drivers not quite able to make it to the finish. The Hoppyshat Supra, the Le Mans Ferrari, the gain at Alex Nissan, of course, that brought out that safety car that robbed the Monos Ferrari team of the victory. The K-Tunes Lexus and the Shade Racing TR86 car. Let's talk then with the winning crew, the Deloitte Supra. We'll hear from not only Giuliano Lacey and Sahara, but also from Michael Krum. We'll only need one translation though.
So here's Yuki Sasahara.
もうね、本当に難しいコンディションで最後までどのタイヤ選ぶか悩んだんですけれど、
So we were really
チームも全体で
struggling to pick the right tyre in these difficult positions, but we made the right
とにかく
decision.
タイヤも守りつつも、とにかく
And we were trying to
中では
really
トップまで上
look
がる
after
という
the
意思
tyres,
でいたので、
even in the first
最終的にそれ
stint.
でバトンを渡せることができて、僕として
So
は
I was
本当
happy
に
to
今日
hand over to
100%
Giuliano
の仕事ができたのかなと
in
思
the
い
lead.
ます。
So it feels like a day where we all did our jobs to 100% of our ability.
そうですね、まあとにかく最初もうす
So it was difficult at the
ごい
start.
大変で耐えてくれって
So it was
もう
very
気合で
difficult.
なんとかしてくれっていう感じだったんで、
So
まあなんとかもう必死に
really
本気
struggling
で耐
for
えて
grip
まあ
in
で
the
もそれ
early
が最後こうやって
stages.
結びついてくれたんで、まあ本当にもうチ
But
ー
the
ム
fact we were able to kind of get through that, put everything together, and
ありがとうございま
just
す。
nothing but gratefulness towards the team. Says Ukyo.
担当しました
So
ジュ
should
リ
be
アの
translation
アレ
to
ジ選
Giuliano.
手です。アレジ選手後半めちゃめちゃ速い。
まあいい車出たですね。はい、みんな
saying was
トムス
it was a good
メカとエンジニアもみんな頑張ったし、いいタイヤも
So everyone in the team did a great job. Bridgestone as well.
本当に
So I'm grateful to them.
ドライバーだけじゃないです。
トッ
Not
プで
just
ですね
the
バト
driver,
ン
it
を
was a
渡され
team effort,
て
he
そこ
says.
からはですねスリックタイヤでというところでどんどんタイムが良くなりました。
はい、そうですね。まあどんどん乾いてた時はやっぱりどんどんタイヤの温度も上がってたし、まあ
So when the track dried, the temperature of the tyre increased
ミ
as
スな
well.
しでこういうコンディションはすごい難しくて、だから
So it was very difficult
チー
to
ム
not
の
make
皆
a
さんと
mistake
一緒
in
に
these
ミス
conditions.
なしで最後までいけて本当に嬉しい。
So for the
これで
So
ポ
very
イントランキングも2位。
very happy to make it to the end without any mistakes. Bit of a grammatical faux
そ
pas
し
there
て
from
ミハイル・
Giuliano
クルム
at the end.
監督です。監督2勝目です。
はいすいませんで
So
した
second win as the team director for Michael Krum, another
信
speak
じ
of
られない結
Japanese.
果でしたですね。後ろからスター
A
トして
result I can't believe to come from the back of the grid as
なん
well.
とかポイント取ろうと思っていいタイヤチョイスしてすごい難しいレースでしたですね。ドライバ
So it was a very difficult race, but the
ー
tyre choice was absolutely
非常に
crucial.
難しい条件で走って
So
ステップバイステップ前行って非常に
we made our way forward
メーカー
from
の
the
チー
back,
ムとかエンジニア
step
みん
by
な
step.
すごいいい仕事した。
And
ピットレーンの
all
中
the
もね
mechanics
大
and
変でしたね。
engineers did a great job, even in that super crowded pit lane when all the cars came in together
信
at
じ
the
ら
head
れ
of
な
the
い
field.
ミスなしのレース2人がやった。
Like,
はい、これは夢ではありません。
almost
おめでとう
can't
ございまし
believe that we were able to get
どう
through
も
that
ありがとうございます
such difficult race without
以上です
making any mistakes. So there's Michael Krum, the second win as a team director, second win of the season
羽
for
田
these
大
guys.
学戦 GT300 クラス
Now we head
見
over
事制したの
to
は
Leon Racing.
65号車レオンピラミッド M
That's
字
the
です。
team director
まさ
Haruki
かの
Kurosawa in the middle of the
強い
picture.
レースでした。改めて選手の皆さんにお話を伺っていきたいと思いますが、まず篠原選手、
First, we're
最
going to
後
hear from
ドキドキの
Shinohara.
攻防戦を制してトップに躍り出たあの時の心境を聞かせてください。
僕多分出たタイミング SC 明けだったんですけど、そこから少しずつトップに追いついてちょっと抜けなくて心は折れかけましたけど、
So it was
もう本当に
good
ずっと
timing
チャン
with
スを
the
狙ってたの
driver
で、
change, and then from that point onwards, I was just
良かったです。
steadily
素晴
gaining
らし
ground
いオーバ
on
ーテイクでした。そしてご自身
the
3
leader
勝目となり
Wadu,
ま
and
した。
then finally was able to make
はい
my move.
まさか前線に引き続き2連勝できると思ってなかったので、まあ本当に
I never thought we'd be able to win 2 races
2位だよって
in a
教
row.
えてもらった時がびっくりだったんですけど、まあ本当に勝てて嬉しいです。
素晴
So
ら
I'm
しい優勝でした。お
kind
め
of
でとうございまし
surprised
た。
at how things worked
さ
out,
あ
but
続き
still
ましてガモ選手
extremely happy.
ガッツポーズをね見せ
Over
て
to
くださいましたが
Gamo.
凄まじいレースで2連勝です。おめでとうございます。
はい、ありがとうございます。まあ本当にこのレースもとても難しかったん
So
です
it was a very
けど、
difficult race.
運も味方に
つけ
But we had a bit of
レ
luck
ースができました
on
の
our
で
side.
本当に良かったです。本当にありがとうございました。
So I'm so
そして
glad we
ご
were able
自
to
身7勝目
take
となりました
advantage of
が、
that.
改めて今の
good
心境を
fortune.
聞かせてください。
そうですね、勝ったことも嬉しいですけども、本当にこの難しいレースをもうチームみんなで
won the
ノーミスでこの走り切れたことが収穫だと思いますので、
To
こ
have
の
made it to the end of the race with no
まま
mistakes.
シーズンの後半戦も頑張っていきたいと思います。
And so
改めて
now
おめでとうござい
we
ま
want
した。
to do a good job in these
さあ
last
そして
few
黒澤監
races
督
of
に
the
お話を
season.
伺っていきたいと思いますが、
This
2
is
戦
Furuki
連続で優勝
Kurosawa,
そしてランキングトップに躍
the
り出
team
ました。
director, occasional
まさ
third
か
driver
ね
who rarely
勝てる
actually
と思わ
drives.
なかったけど、でも、昨日ちょっとね15番手タイミング悪くて予選がちょっとって感じ
So
だった
the
か
timing of the
ら
red flag was
ね、
was bad
で
for
も
us
チーム
yesterday in
と
practice.
ブリヂ
He's
ストンタイ
talking
ヤ
about.
さんまたいろいろね、スタッフ頑張ってくれたしドライバーも
And
頑張
the
ってくれた
Bridgestone
ので
did a great job
素
for
晴ら
us
し
to
い結果
prepare
に
the
なって
tyres.
本当に良かったです。はい。
15番手からの大
Glad
逆転
to
優勝、
finally
本
make
当
it
に
to
お
the
めで
end
とうございま
with
した。
the
以上
victory.
です。
So, according to my maths, I think Leon Racing now 15 points clear of Inging in the title race in GT300.
Well, we're about to find out. Look at it. It is 1 point in the championship lead, but it's the other Tom Supra that leads the way. Savoy and Yamashita a point ahead of Sasahara and Alesi. Yamamoto and Makino are 6 points back, only 9 points back for Ashura and Toshiki Oyu. It's still an open championship fight. It really is going to be fantastic in the last 3 races of the year at Ortopolis, Motegi and Suzuka. In GT300, Gamu and Shinohara have 64 points, 15 clear of the Ingin car of Satsumi and Taira. Fuji and Fag are only 7 points further back. It's still, for me, a 3-car battle for the title. But the Leon Mercedes definitely has a big advantage. So we reflect on a fantastic race here at Sportsland Sugo, officially round 6, although of course it is the 5th round of the championship with round 5 at Suzuka being postponed to December. But we've managed to squeeze in just, ideally, the race of the season. Here are the highlights from the most spectacular race that Sportsland Sugo could have cooked up. There were so many great moments in this one as we prepare for the podium ceremony. So many great talking points. How the Tom Supra worked its way from 14th on the grid to the victory, I will never know, other than having just witnessed it. Also, to see Savoy and Yamashita with an 82-kilo car coming home in the top 5, they are definitely looking strong for the title, even though they only lead it at the moment by 1 point. And of course,
You'd still say that the 36 car looking in excellent condition. I think we have to remember that a wet race always does mix things up in the championship, and then we go to Ortopolis in a month's time where the ballast will be even higher for the leading contenders in the championship.
And let's talk about that, because Ortopolis is a circuit that really exposes inefficiency when it comes to balance of setup. It's a really tough race circuit to get right, and Ortopolis is going to be a fascinating situation. Will the Tom Supra have what it takes to score points in a very heavy ballasted car at Ortopolis? Will this be a chance for the Toyotas, maybe even the the Hondas, maybe even the Nissans to come back in? They've got low ballast, so it could be a Nissan day.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see. It's a 3-hour race in what will probably be very difficult conditions for the tyres. It's the hardest track of the year. Keep the tyres in one piece, so that's always going to have a big bearing. And with a 3-hour duration as well, we're back to having a much longer race than we had here. So it's one of those where consistency, race pace, making the right calls on strategy, we'll be back to having 2 pit stops in a race, which is always a bit more interesting than only having 1. 2 mandatory pit stops, I should say. We did have some cars making 2 pit stops today, but they wouldn't have planned that in advance. So that promises to be a really, really exciting race, and one that will obviously have, again, a big bearing on the championship.
So as the contenders made great race battles come alive over the course of what was easily the race of the year, we saw in the first stint a lot of big dicey moves in tricky conditions, drivers making gambles, and of course cars falling by the wayside. This was the race-changing accident in GT300. Gainer Tanax going off the road, and rather sadly bringing out the safety car for the Polis Ferrari, which was eventually caught and then passed by Takura Shinohara after 28 laps of resolute defending. Liluwadu finally vanquished by the Leon Mercedes. We were so close to seeing the first ever win for a woman in Super GT.
Yeah, shouldn't detract though from the efforts of that team. Don't forget, it's a new team as well. It's the first year for that car. I think for them to even get a podium finish on the board this season in general is a great achievement for them. Okay, it was probably the golden chance for a Michelin shod car to win a race with the weather, but still, I think all things considered, they're not going to be too upset with P2. I think if you'd offered them P2 on Friday evening, I'm sure both Cotsino and Wadu would have absolutely bitten your hand off.
Up to the hairpin, there's the move, they're going to be side by side. This could be perfect timing. Sweet pass. And we are ready for 2024 Super Formula to begin. So it's going to be a very special podium ceremony because even though they didn't win the race, it is still the highest position for a woman in Super GT for 29 years. And surely the perfect tonic when Ferrari are keeping an eye on her this weekend firsthand. Lilu Wadu has certainly given herself an amazing advert for superstardom in the future. But let's get on to GT500. It's been another scalp for Honda and Nissan. Toyota have really made this race come to them. And it's been a fabulous performance for the contenders at Tom's Supra. It genuinely could be the two cars on either side of the garage battling with each other right the way down to the wire for this championship.
Yeah, which would be really, quite remarkable. I mean, going back to Suzuka when the 37 car took the first win of the year, all the
sort of backing and, you know, the tricky conditions of a circuit like that would give you the same kind of quality of show.
Yeah, only 2 safety car periods if you remove the safety car that started the race, and that only lasted a few laps, didn't it? So really only 2 interruptions of any note. We had a few more incidents that didn't give us any kind of interruption, which was quite good, that we didn't have too much interruption to the kind of natural flow of the race, but definitely the safety car had a big bearing on the strategy in both of the classes. Some teams notably losing out as a result, but I think, like you say, overall, considering the conditions, considering how narrow the track is and some of the races we've seen in the past at Sugo, it was about as clean, I think, as you could realistically hope for.
So we're going to have the GT300 podium celebration. It's going to be another rostrum then for the D-Station Aston Martin team. What an amazing impact they've made into the GT300 category. Don't forget, this is still the first year for this team and this car. And they have come into this and they look like they're old hands at the game. Tomonobu Fuji and Charlie Fag climb the podium once again. 3rd position, an excellent run for the team, but an absolutely terrific performance from the squad. Here come Kei Cozzolino and Lilu Wadu, the hero of the hour. What an amazing race from her, and becomes the first woman in 29 years to be on a Super GT podium. Absolutely magnificent. But the victory goes the way of Takahiro Shinohara and Noya Gamu in the R&D Leon Mercedes. Without the safety car, you could argue this would have been the Ponos Ferrari's victory, but they take it in good heart, and there is certainly a bright future for the French driver Lilu Wadu. I cannot wait until Ferrari sign her up for their hypercar project in 2026 or 2027 perhaps, but there is absolute potential in that incredible young driver's hands. So the trophies will be presented then. The winning trophy to the R&D Leon Mercedes crew, who now take a 15-point lead in the GT300 title race. And it is going to be a very exciting challenge for all the contenders to try and catch up to them. There is still a bit of time for the Mutaringen crew to gain the time. They've obviously got 3 races left in the season at Automobilis, at Motegi, and at Suzuka in December. What a performance from these two. 2nd place for Kei Cozzolino and Lilu Wadu. Drink that moment in, Lilu. That's the first of many as far as I'm concerned. A history leveler, hopefully in the future, a history breaker. Charlie Fag, another podium for him with Tomonobu Fuji. What a comeback for them after Fuji's off earlier in the race to get to the podium in 3rd place. That keeps them in the championship fight, and they're not that far away from the guys beside them on the podium. 22 points back, 3 races to run is genuinely achievable. So the GT300 title battle is obviously going to be very closely fought, with Mutaringen still in the mix. They obviously came home with an 8th place finish today, a handful of points to keep them relatively close, but a 2nd win of the season is always a hard thing to achieve in Super GT. So you have to give credit to the R&D Leon Mercedes team. They took advantage of the safety car. They got themselves into a good position. Takahiro Shinohara didn't pressure Lilu Wadu any harder than he had to, and was able to finally get the gap and make the move on the 29th lap of the attempt. So great to see the team putting on such a good show and coming through with a victory. There is more to come from GT300. We could well see 3 completely different cars win the races for the remaining 3 races. But now we know that Lilu Wadu is here to stay in Super GT, certainly for the time being, until she gets snapped up either by the Ferrari Works program or by another team who feels that she is worthy of a shot. I certainly think she's got the credentials to become a future Le Mans 24 Hours winner. Not in class, but in outright. Great drive from Lilu Wadu today, but also to Kei Cozzolino. I would agree with Jamie Clyde in saying that Kei Cozzolino, for me, is the driver of the day, just for that pure aggression in the first stint. The ability to fight the Ponos Ferrari up into those positions with barely any traction at all. It was, as far as I'm concerned, his best Super GT drive, and incredibly deserving of the accolades. Such a shame the Pontus Ferrari crew weren't able to get the win today, but you have to give full credit to them for the attempt, and they did everything right. They only came 4 seconds short of that victory. Excellent work. I think Kei Kotsalina wants to celebrate as keenly as humanly possible, but they obviously have to make sure that everybody has a bottle to celebrate. It's not fair to only give one driver each a celebration. They all need one. They're eager to get their hands on the celebration. So for Noya Gamu, Takura Shinohara, Kei Kotsalino, Lina Uwadu, Tomonobu Fuji and Charlie Fagg, they will get to celebrate in fine style. An amazing performance and a great race here at Sportsland Sugo as the drivers on the podium get to celebrate and get busy with a fizzy here at Sportsland Sugo. A fairy tale ending for the Leon Mercedes crew. They now take a 15-point lead in the championship. History is matched by Lina Uwadu, 29 years on from the last lady on the podium in Super GT. Lina Uwadu is just one step away from victory. Great run for the British driver Charlie Fagg. I know British fans watching at home will be very proud of his achievements. But what an exceptional run. So the GT300 race comes to an epic conclusion. We will see them again in action next time out at Autopolis. And I have to say, the win there is going to be very difficult to predict.
以上、2024オートバックススーパー GT ラウンド6スゴ GT300 キロレース GT300 クラスの表彰台の皆さんでした。ありがとうございました。おめでとうございました。
So the GT300 ceremony, great to see the competitors come through and put on such an exciting display. We definitely saw a few results behind the podium finishes, of course, that we perhaps were not necessarily expecting to see. Fourth position, of course, for the BMW. Good to see the study team getting a good result. The Subaru team finally getting a top 5 finish. Again, I think they would have preferred the podium, but they have to rest on their laurels. The championship in 2024 has pretty much already gone for them, but they certainly needed a top 5 finish to get back their motivation to at least finish off the season on a high. Fascinating, though, that in that race, for once, Kondo racing this out, we usually see triumph and flourish in conditions like that. We're only 11th, they really didn't show up, like Isasaki and Joel Palmer and Oliveira, and it's unfair to suggest it, perhaps, but we've got used to seeing them come through difficult conditions and be spectacular. So for them to come home only 11th, it kind of seems like a bit of a surprise, really. The third position for the import team, Bertrand Baguette and Kazuki Hiromine. So nearly could have won this race today, certainly in the first phase for Bertrand Baguette. He put on some amazing overtakes. It was good to see them come through for a podium, and that was needed, I think, for Team Impol. Second position for the team that got pole position, Hiroki Ashura and Toshiki Oyu. And Toshiki Oyu actually seems a little bit disappointed with second position. You kind of feel that there might have been enough there to go for the top spot. But they can be happy with second place behind the team that has been absolutely extraordinary. From 14th on the grid to come through for the victory. Ukyo Sasahara and Giuliano Alesi, the team Deloitte Toms Supra, their second win of the season. That fan is happy. And now we've got a real title battle between the number 36 and 37 crews, a point apart at the top of the table. The civil war in Tom Supra begins here. From Autopolis to Motegi to Suzuka, it really is going to be a magnificent battle. So the winner's trophy then, handed to Ukyo Sasahara and Giuliano Alesi. A great result and a great performance as the light starts to fade fairly rapidly here at Sportsland Sugo. We only just managed to finish the race in curfew. but a truly
ポールからの
magnificent
スター
run.
ト、そして最後大井選手の追い上げも素晴らしかった。そして前半の石浦選手も混乱の中見事な走りでした。どうぞ大きな拍手を。2位のセルモで
There
す。
is the pole position
そ
crew,
して第
Raki
3位
Ashura and Toshiki Oyu. They miss out on the victory,
昨年の最終戦の表彰台以
but
来
it's
ということになり
still
ます。
been
平峰
a
選手、そして
fantastic
ベルトラン
run
バゲット
all the
選
way
手、
throughout.
こちらも久しぶりの
Second
表彰
position
台
will do for
です。
them.
どうぞ大きな拍手をお送りく
Bertrand
ださ
Baguette
い。
and Kazuki Hiromine. A worthy podium for the Impel team. And again, a good demonstration of the tenacity needed to
で
dig
は
deep
続きま
and
して
find
オー
something
トバックス
special.
賞の贈呈に移ります。
It's an all Bridgestone podium again,
選手には
which is not a big surprise nowadays, considering that only 3 of the GT500 cars are Bridgestone shod.
それではお願いします。
The Yokohamas, well, they were 8th and 13th, and Ricky Okusa in the Dunlop shod Nakajima only 14th, so it was definitely not a big enough advantage in GT500 to have a different tyre compound. And considering that the GT300 podium actually had 3 different tyre manufacturers involved, Bridgestone, Michelin and Dunlop, it was one of those races. All sorts of action and drama, but Ukisa Sahara and Giuliano Alesi together combined really made the difference, and they have now taken their second win of the season. Could this be the resurgence for the squad that gets them to become the new Super GT champions? Sho Tsuboi has done it before. Ukisa Sahara and Giuliano Alesi have yet to taste those spoils, but could this be their
では
moment?
フォトシュートです。お願いします。どうぞ。では皆さんどうぞ温かい拍手を表彰台へ
So
お
an
送りください。
excellent display from the contenders in GT500. As we mentioned before, there are still 3 rounds to go in this year's 2024 championship. And you'll be able to watch them all
よろしいでしょうか。
right here
は
on
い、ではプレゼンターの皆さん
motorsport.tv.
ありがとうございました。では選手のみでもう一回取らせてくだ
It'll be
さ
a
い。
fascinating challenge for the championship. We're going to take a bit of a breather now for the next race of the championship. The Autopolis 3 hours will take place on the 19th to 20th of October. And then, of course, we'll have the Motegi GT300 race, similar length as this one, on the 2nd to 3rd of November. And then we'll finish the year with 350 kilometres around Suzuka on the 7th and 8th of December. You'll be able to watch all of that here on Motorsport TV.
プレスの皆さんよろしいでしょうか。
And we've had a truly sensational battle for all of the contenders out there on the course. And after a race like that, we've now got 3 races left in the championship where the championship could really go anybody's way. There's still a very evenly matched championship fight at the top end of GT500. Nothing is ever certain, nothing is ever confirmed, and we can't wait to see how the championship unfolds. So for those of you who've been patient with us all the way through the weekend, we have to say a massive thank you to everybody involved in the broadcast. It really has been a very exciting run for all of us. We're very grateful indeed to all those of you who've been watching, particularly through your patience in the difficult conditions yesterday. But it really has been a sensational run for everybody. We've had a very tough run of it. A massive thank you to the team behind the scenes managing our broadcast, particularly to our producer Denis Erosimenko, and of course to our assistant Pavel Sertin, to Jens Sabota on the stats and statistics, and of course to my colleague Jamie Klein. It's been yet another fantastic race in Super GT. So from myself, Jake Sampson, and the whole crew, thank you very much indeed for watching. As the boys get busy with the fizzy here at Sportsland Sugo, we say sayonara. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next month at the next round of the championship at Autopolis. Bye for now.
ちょっと遅れてますけど、平宮さん大丈夫ですか。大丈夫ですか、ファイト。はい、ありがとうございます。では、表彰台の3チーム改めてご紹介します。2024オートバックススーパー GT ラウンド6、スゴ GT300 キロレース GT500 クラス見事優勝、カーナンバー37、デロイトトムス GR スープラ、笹原右京選手、ジュリアーノ・アレジ選手、おめでとうございます。第2位、カーナンバー38、キーパーセルモ GR スープラ、石浦弘明選手、大湯俊樹選手。第3位、カーナンバー12、マリリン・パルゼット、平峰和樹選手、ベルトラン・バケット選手、どうぞ皆さんに大きな拍手をお送りください。ありがとうございました。以上、2024オートバック クススーパー GT ラウンド6スゴ GT300 キロレース GT500 クラス暫定表彰式でございました。選手の皆さんありがとうございました。どうぞ大きな拍手をお送りください。さあそれではこの後特別賞2つございますので、どうぞ皆さん最後までお付き合いいただければと思います。さあそれではここからは特別賞になります J スポーツベストパフォーマンス賞から紹介してまいります。この J スポーツベストパフォーマンス賞は各大会で最も印象に残るドライビングを見せてくれたチームをファン投票で決めるファン